Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Aftermath. This one is for Bellator 258. So first of all, it was awesome to be able to turn my TV on and watch it on BBC iPlayer. So congrats to Bellator and to BBC for that. I actually bought a TV license for the first time in years just so I could tune in, and it absolutely delivered. As has these previous fights in the Grand Prix. Disappointing, of course, to see Yoel Romero pull out and Anthony Johnson have to fight a replacement, but it was still a lot of fun nevertheless. Now, I'm going to cover 3 fights on this one, 3 good talking points. Actually, I think I've put them in the wrong order. It doesn't matter. We'll roll through. I'm not covering the main event. Go and watch it. It was a great performance between, a fantastic former champion and a great new champion. Sergio Pettis is just getting better and better, as he ages. And one of the highlights of the whole event for me was when he got the belt wrapped around his waist and Anthony Pettis coming in and just making such a big deal of the belt. And, it was really cool to see. And, how they share that, the martial arts journey together. Okay. I think I'm actually starting on Peter Queeley against Pitbull. I think I've put them in that order instead of the Page Anderson one first. Yes, I did. Okay. Patricky Pitbull against Peter Queeley. So there's a rivalry between these gyms, obviously SBG and the Pitbull brothers. Queeley's, by all accounts, he's a really good kind of team captain almost over at SBG. He's one of the guys that all the younger fighters go to when they've got questions about stuff. And he's got good experience, but he's got a lot less experience than Pitbull. And sometimes Queeley's love for fighting gets him in a bit of trouble. And he was heavy on the front leg in this fight, and he paid for it because Pitbull just ate up that lead leg. It was really beaten up and bruised, very quickly. Powerful kicks. And there was just nothing coming back from Queeley. So you could see there was an increased intensity in the kicks from Pitbull. I mean, look at the bruising on Queeley's leg there, both above and below the knee. And, again, like I said, this is where his toughness comes into play because he was forced to push forward. I mean, this is the end of the second round here, where he's managed to walk his way into Pitbull's range and put pressure on him to the point where Pitbull level changes. And then we had those 3 elbows, and they may not look like anything, but the amount of blood that came from those 3 elbows is quite amazing. Oh, we'll skip back too far. I will just play it again. They're completely underutilized in this position. We're starting to see people land these short, sharp elbows. You can see he just landed 3 right there. Right as he landed, and Masvidal did the same thing first time before Usman. He was taken down, immediately goes chop, chop, chop. Point of the elbow, right to the top, to the forehead, anywhere. And this is 3 shots from Queeley. And he lands 2 shots, one on the top of the head. You see Pitbull move his head to the opposite side because you can tell it hurt. He takes another one right to the top of the head there, which he felt all the way down his spine. And then he actually lifts his head up so as to avoid the next one, which catches him right on the forehead, right there, and just cuts him wide open. And poor old Queeley at one point, he's got so much blood in his mouth, he actually has to turn and spit it out. I mean, you can see the blood pouring out. So here's the level change. Drives through, lands. Queeley gets his guard, gets a half guard in control, and then starts to chop with these elbows. Now, there was a bit of an argument, debate, a very polite disagreement after the fight between Pitbull's brother, Patricio Pitbull, talking about, there's some kind of confusion around the legality of these elbows. One of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is because they're entirely legal. As you will have seen from the one video I did, downward elbows in one are completely fine. 12-6 is a downward elbow. That's not downward by comparison to the person that's throwing them. So if I'm laying on my back, I'm not throwing a 12-6 elbow doing this. I'm throwing one that's 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock because I'm going across a plane. I'm going horizontally instead of vertically, and vertical is the issue. And it is a weird rule. It's kind of a silly rule, and I wish they would take it out. But there is some confusion. Even you can see here, when the the doctor waves it off here. And I love the reaction. He's like, why? He's like, why are you waving it off? I'm fine. And the doctor just looks and he goes, look, dude, look, blood, look, so much blood. He's like, look. He's like, no, it's enough. And then this is where the confusion. So Queeley comes over and he's like, a reluctant hug from Patricky Pitbull. And then you can see the motion in here from Patricio Pitbull talking about the downward elbow. And fair play to Queeley. He's like, look, if I broke the rules, I'll watch it back with you. And if I broke the rules, then, I'll admit it. But perfectly fine legal elbows, really effective. Chopping down, sliced him across the forehead there. A beautiful performance. And, Peter Queeley is, he's a tough, durable individual. And to have that in the back pocket and sometimes to be able to fall upon that puts you in these situations where a little bit of venom and desire to win and some toughness to deal with those, stinging low kicks, allows him to pick up a win here, which could have potentially turned into a decision loss, of him just getting chopped away. Made the most of this scenario. Look at here's the other one. So that's the second one. And he lifts up to face and bang, catches him right there. Beautiful work. I just wanted to drop that in because there's still a bit of confusion around the downward elbow rule, which is not necessary if you think of it as a 12 to 6 rule, because the 12 always being directly above you. You're always going up to the lighting rig and coming down, which is why, you're starting to see some people getting away with these kind of elbows up against the fence, the Travis Brown chopping stuff. When people are finding ways to manipulate those rules a little bit, and that is one of them. Same situation if you're inside control top, you can elbow back, and you can generate a lot of power in that. And some people are not realizing that is within the rules to use. Personally, I think just take the rule out entirely. All elbows are fine. Just don't strike the back of the head of the spine, and that's really the issue. Okay. I keep putting the lid on that. I'm wasting my time. Okay, right. Next fight. So now we're going to go into the MVP Derek Anderson fight, and this can be summarized far quicker. This was a really a really impressive first round for MVP. Now Derek Anderson, similar careers, 18-1, 17-3. Height and reach advantage for MVP, like normal, 6'3", long reach as well. And he stands completely side on most of the time and stings his opponent from long range. And because the majority of his attacks were straight, Anderson's trying to be a bit cocky and a bit confident here, and he's slipping his head off the center line. So watch this. You're going to see MVP throw a jab here, real flicky jab, and you can see Anderson just start to lean towards this side, towards the open side. He's what he's trying to do is he's trying to get off the center line of the jab. As he sees it's coming, he's trying to dip so the jab passes over his shoulder. That would allow him to then get inside MVP's range, or at least start to try and pressure inside so he can start stinging him with his own shots. I mean, the problem when most people are fighting MVP is they just can't get close to him. And it's that desperation of trying to cover distance and not being able to that eventually leads to them getting knocked out because they run onto something. And he's a master of range management. He's got fantastic footwork. And this is exactly what he does here. He just keeps testing. Like you can see Anderson's dipping his head off to the side. He's waiting for a straight shot to come so he can slip it. And this was a great read by MVP. So he's in this position here. Look how he swings his lead hand. Like he's like, okay, he's like motioning like his lead hand's coming. And Anderson leans his head over towards his left shoulder. So of course, when a shot's coming in his direction, which way is he going to slip? He's going to go the opposite way. It makes sense. You don't slip one way to slip that way a bit further. You go one way and then you go back. And that natural sway from the motion of MVP's hand coming out, he was slipping a jab that he was expecting to come out. He thought this hand was going to go firing across his shoulder and he was going to be able to slip right to the side and make MVP look silly. But unfortunately, as he slipped, he dipped right onto a beautiful snap high kick. And the shape of MVP's big toe is now permanently indented in the face of poor old Derek Anderson. it was just beautiful timing. I mean, this is Taekwondo 101. Skip, stinging high kick proves that you don't need to do a great deal to really hurt someone. You know, it's similar to what we saw with Rose against Zhang Wei Li earlier this month. Is it earlier this month? Yeah. Like just a snapping high kick placed in the right position. And this is a funny thing to look at. Look at that. That is the last point Derek Anderson looked like that. Look at this. I mean, literally, they are the final seconds of him having a straight nose ever in the rest of his life. I mean, that's bad news bears, isn't it? That's never going to end well. And that's a foot straight across the brow line. Oh. I mean, it's precision martial arts at its best. Tried to slip, moved straight onto the kick. Oh, makes you feel a little bit sick. But that's MVP for you. You know, he's that ability to set people up and tease them, to tempt them to do something that he knows they're going to do, so he's already set them up for it, and they think they're going to get away with it. You know, moving into range, moving out of range, slipping his punches. He's got setups for days, and we're only seeing a fraction of his game right now. Scary. And another guy that's scary, I'll tell you from first-hand experience, is Rumble Johnson. So Jose Augusto was his opponent. Respect to him for stepping up on short notice. He obviously doesn't follow Anthony Johnson, because if you see him on Instagram, you wouldn't want to fight the dude. He's in fantastic shape. He's scary. He's intelligent. You know, he's a good businessman. He's got back into this because he loves it and he wants to do it. That's even more scary. And this is not where you want to be. I mean, of all the places in the world that Jose Augusto could be right now, this is the worst place to be. Trapped up against the fence with Anthony Johnson, just feeling like he can tee off and throw. Look, I mean, just look how casual that is. I've got to go to the shop to get something I really don't want to. There's something on TV I want to watch. Look how angry he is walking here. Oh, I've got to go to the shop. You know what I mean? It's like you can just see the disdain there. There's no fear of anything coming back, and then that happens. And what was funny is he actually didn't realize until into his post-fight interview when they played it on the screen that he got hit. It was the first time in his career he'd been hit and hurt. And obviously he was very annoyed about it. You know, Mystery got a great video backstage of him being really angry and frustrated with himself. But in actuality, I think there was a lot of peace of mind to be gotten from this. You know, recovering from a big shot, not getting submitted on the floor against a guy that's clearly got good submissions, and being able to, you know, last out to the end of the round and then regroup between rounds. You know, he comes out in the second, he gradually walks his opponent down, and then 90 seconds in, he uncorks a devilish right hand, which is, it's beautiful to watch. Here it goes. Pow, right on the chin. And Augusto's going nowhere other than to the canvas. No more shots needed. One more shot given. Super fast for Rumble Johnson. Looked in great shape. Look how he grabs that lead hand as well. Really nice work. So not only is he coming out to slap to bring this hand up so he doesn't have to worry about this coming out, but he's actually going to grab this wrist and pull it towards him. You're going nowhere. Beautiful. Really nice work. Great to see Rumble Johnson move forward in the Grand Prix. His next fight's against Vadim Nemkov, which I don't know how to pick it. I honestly don't. I mean, I don't think we've seen the extent of Rumble Johnson's game right now. We know this about him. We know he knocks people out with one punch. We know that he's got a good wrestling base as well, so if he needs it, he can keep the fight on the feet. But Nemkov's a good kickboxer. You know, he flows so nicely through his combinations. He's got that nice, loose, relaxed Fedor style where his face doesn't change and he just, you know, starts stitching high kicks on the end of it. If Rumble Johnson leaves himself open like he did in his attack, he might get countered and caught. And now he's been hurt one time. You know, there might be a bit more caution in his approach. I mean, that left hook might have done Johnson some favors because he might not be as overzealous against Nemkov, where he might really pay for it. But on the flip side, it might give Nemkov a bit more confidence that he can catch him when Johnson's coming forward. It's the grappling I'm interested to see how they go, because Johnson's going to be very difficult to take down. And Nemkov could waste a lot of time trying to grapple with Anthony Johnson. Obviously, they're moving through. We've got Bader against Corey Anderson on the other side of the tournament. I just expect Rumble Johnson to kind of starch everybody, but I do think this next test will be his most difficult. I definitely think Nemkov is going to give the most problems to Rumble Johnson. They're the best 3 fights on the card. Go and watch the main event. Sergio Pettis looked fantastic, but I didn't want to try and chop down 25 minutes and explain it all to you. It was just great pressure all the way through. Proactive striking combinations, forcing the point, making his opponent pay when he threw his own combinations. Pettis just looked super sharp. And as I said, watch how happy Anthony was to see his brother with the belt. And I mean, he just made such a big deal out of it. I felt proud for him. And it was good to see him get that belt. So, fantastic event all in all, and congratulations to Bellator and to BBC for hosting a fantastic MMA event. Catch you next time.